Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, the Cheltenham Countdown channel here on YouTube, on the actual countdown now guys to the Cheltenham Festival in just over 4 weeks time. We are nearly there. There's nearly a month, one single month away from the festival week in March, and this is another episode today in my Ante-Post series where I'm going to put up 2 more selections in my series. That is definitely going to happen today, following on from an absolute roller coaster ride of a Dublin Racing Festival. Not just for myself and my punting, my stakes, my bets, probably for a lot of people that were there as well, I guess, with obviously the shifting from the Saturday race card to the Monday. Obviously we had the Sunday and Monday DRF this year. But on this episode today, as well as the two Ante-Post selections, as I mentioned, I am going to review most of the races that happened at episode that took place at the Dublin Racing Festival with my opinion based on those races. I'm going to look at the handicaps as well. The handicaps will just note a couple of horses in there I liked for some potential future races, maybe some of the Cheltenham Festival that I do like. But also the grade ones will be talked about as well. The grade ones I'll be speaking about in more in depth. The handicaps, we'll just have a few horses picked out that I think we can note down for future reference. And then following on from those discussions, we will slide in to the Ante-Post tips. The 2 Ante-Post selections will come towards the end of the video. So for now, guys, that's all you need to do is watch the video. If you do like it, hit that like button, share again, as you always have done, comment your selections for this weekend's meetings at Newbury and Warwick. I won't be previewing them as such in this episode today, but if you do have a selection for either of those meetings at Newbury or Warwick, put them down below and I'll see if you guys have won with your selections come next week. And then, of course, subscribe. Just subscribe to my channel. It's free of choice. It's free of choice. You've got no pressure on that, but it is also free to do as well. It will cost you nothing to just press that subscribe button. But until then, we are going to roll on with the show, starting off with the Dublin Racing Festival review, race by race, and we'll kick off with the Sunday card of this year's Lepperstone meeting at the DRF. Firstly, guys, obviously, if you had watched my Dublin Racing Festival preview from last week, you'd have noticed some of the claims I did put in our video last week's episode that didn't probably materialise and happen at this year's meeting. Obviously, I had big claims, big opinions, big thoughts that what I think was going to happen, what I thought I was going to predict to have been taking place at Lepperstone. Some did come in that I had a strong view of. Some didn't as well, which was a negative pointer. So yeah, I had a lot of big claims that did happen and didn't happen, which, again, if you do follow me on a regular basis, I can only apologise and hopefully get things right leading up to Cheltenham now for that festival. And obviously we had a lot more questions, I thought, than answers and unknowns leading up now from the Dublin Racing Festival that happened in those races leading into Cheltenham. There's a lot more questions than answers I thought we did discover, guys. So if you have got any thoughts from the Dublin Racing Festival that you want to put down in the comments for me to read, please do, and I will respond to each and every single one of them. But we'll kick off with the first race that happened on Sunday. We did start off with a bang, actually. I started off with the winner in the opening race in the listed Paddy and Maureen Mullins Mares handicap header with Cousin Kate. She went off a 13-2, went back to the 6-1 earlier on the week. She won well. She won really well on the day. She's got up £8 in the ratings from 124 to 131 now. So I think it's a bit of a hike in the ratings for this particular mare. She probably won't come into fruition as a Cheltenham horse. I don't think she won't be in the reckoning for any Cheltenham race, in my opinion. So I think we can keep a note of her maybe for an Irish race, maybe a Fairyhouse or Punchstone after Cheltenham. But I don't think she'll be a strong candidate for any handicap at the Cheltenham Festival, in my opinion, guys. But nonetheless, we started off the DRF with the winner, with Cousin Kate, and then I think it went all downhill from there. And we had the first grade 1 of the whole meeting on Sunday at Lepperstone, and it was the grade 1 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs Ladbrokes Novice Chase, where Final Demand got turned over. He got turned over, beat by Kay Doherty for the same stable yard, Willie Mullins. Also, in second place, Western Fold finished second ahead of Final Demand. So that obviously weakens his chances for the Brown Advisory, I feel. Clearly, the betting companies have pushed him out about 4-1, 7-2, as short as that for the Brown Advisory market. I've obviously got a horse in that market I've gambled on and put up in my Ante-Post series already this season. That is the Big Westerner, well back in November. She was my first Ante-Post tip in that particular race. So she's actually contracted in price following Final Demand's defeat, so that enhances her chances, you'd think. If I start off with Final Demand first of all, then got beat, got turned over. I'm not sure if, well, that's clearly not the best preparation for him. Paul Town will remain on the horse, but it's just not ideal. It's not ideal for him going to the Cheltenham following a bad defeat at Leopardstown. He didn't look his best, really, from the get-go. And with the pressure Kay Doherty put on him towards the middle of the race and the end of the race, he just faltered, he just weakened. It's as if he doesn't like a bit of pressure towards the front when he does take the lead of a race. Doesn't like the pressure, doesn't like to get into a battle or a fight in the middle part of a race, which does concern me if you are a backer of Final Demand. And then if we move on to Kay Doherty, and simply what a ride from Mark Walsh. We'll get on to him later on in the video with his superb rides over the weekend. But Mark Walsh with JP McManus, those combinations of connections, phenomenal weekend for them. And I think he's got big claims now, guys. He impressed me a lot in that race. I do fear him as such in the Brown Advisory. If you're a back of the big Westerner like myself, I do fear Kay Doherty. He could turn up at Cheltenham again and perform better than what he did last season. We'll have to wait on that front. But the Brown Advisory is a wide open market now with the likes of Kay Doherty in there, Final Man, the big Westerner. You've got 6 Mile Bridge, won the Scillials at Sandown on the same weekend. He's in there. There's a lot of favourites in there, horses in there, guys, I should say, that have their chances, that have their credentials. So it's a market that you could get a horse into that you want to back. With the big Westerner, I'm happy with my selection. I'm happy with my slip. You guys might have a different view on that, but there are horses in that market that do make it a wide open race. It's one of the most open races most open Grade 1 races, I'd say, of the entire week for now. So yeah, a wide open market following the race at the DRF. And I think Final Demand, if you're a backer still and a firm believer in him winning the Brown Advisory, you'd be a bit concerned following his race at Sunday. But on the flip side, Willie Mullins does have another strong candidate in the race in Kay Doherty. Next race on Sunday was the Grade 1 Tatsal's Island Novice Hurdle, won by the Talk for Joseph O'Brien, JJ Slevin in the saddle. Ballyfad finished second, King Roscoe Gray third, and then a long way to Cocktail Brute in fourth. I would say the top three are smart horses. Personally, I would say that they're decent horses to follow going forward now in the future. They're very good, solid horses in whatever race they run at Cheltenham, especially the top three: Talk the Talk, Ballyfad, King Rascal Grey. I'd say the top three there are horses you'd want to follow for the rest of the season and beyond. So we'll kick off with the winner, Talk the Talk, a worthy horse now in the Supreme Market, I'd say, a worthy horse and a worthy contender in that race. Obviously led by Old Park Star in the market, but he's a lot shorter than what I feel he should be right at this moment in time. Talk the Talk in there, about 3-1, 7-2 is fairly right, I'd say, for the time being, with Old Park Star a lot shorter. He's a definite player. Talk the Talk is a definite player. It sounds as if he's going to go to the Supreme, which I think is the right decision for connections. He does stay well, guys. His jumping improved from Christmas. He stays well, which you will need to in a Supreme. You'll definitely have an each-way squeak, in my opinion. Definitely have a player in that race. So you've got Old Park Star, Talk the Talk. Then you have also, who finished second in this race, Ballyfad. Now, I mentioned on last week's video with regards to another horse that Gordon Elliott does have in his stable, in El Kairos. We saw him win his maiden hurdle at Thurles earlier in the week as well this week. Now, it probably does assume that El Kairos is going to be heading to a Supreme, and connections may sway Ballyfad then up in trip to the Turners Novices Hurdle on the Wednesday of the festival. So we'll wait to see where they actually confirm and declare Ballyfad. El Kairos probably heads to the Supreme, makes that more interesting as well. But Ballyfad up in trip would interest me too. So could see him as still a player in a Turners. Ballyfad wouldn't cross him off in that particular race as well. So that's two horses in the Grade 1 that Sunday we saw that could still have a major factor at Cheltenham. That's Talk the Talk and Ballyfad. King Rascal Grey, he was good. He was solid, jumped well. Just got outstayed and out-battled towards the end of the race as well. So I wouldn't be siding with him for a Supreme at the moment. Things could change between now and then. Willie Mullins may bring him forward he may bring the horse forward and may bring him on from the race on Sunday, which may prove vital for a Supreme. But I would have wanted to see a bit more. We would have wanted to see a bit more from him. Obviously lost by half a length, which is obviously not much at all. But being outstated by Ballyfad and quickened away by Talk the Talk just concerns me for a Supreme Novices Hurdle, because I think that's the way they will send King Rascal Grey. So what I took out from the Grade 1 novice hurdle on Sunday is that Talk the Talk is a major player in the Supreme, Barleyfire is a major player in the Turners, and away from that, El Kairos still interests me a lot, guys, in the Supreme novice hurdle. So that Supreme is looking a bit more hotter than usual, hotter than we thought before Sunday, in the fact that the top three in that race, in All Park Star, Talk the Talk, and El Kairos, are top novices heading into the Supreme this year. The following race at Leopardstown on Sunday was, yes, you guessed it, the Grade 1 Ladbrokes Dublin chase over 2 miles. 1 furlong won by Majborough. He did win very, very well on the day. Exceptionally well, in fact, on the day, by ridden by Mark Walsh again for Willie Mullins and JP McManus. I'd say it was probably the best 2 mile performance from a horse we've seen this season, and rightly puts him at the top of the market for a champion chase, but not at the price he is at now, in my opinion. He's not a worthy 6-4 favourite as we speak, but he is the rightful favourite. Should be, in my opinion, 2-1, 9-4, that short for now, just simply because we've seen Marine National, the reigning Queen Mother Championship winner, win so well at Cheltenham last year. He's won a Supreme as well. He is better at Cheltenham than what he is at Leopardstown. So we start off with Majborough on Sunday. Really ridden very, very positively by Mark Walsh. Led after the second fence. From then on, was no catching him from a long way out. If you were a back of Majborough on the day, you would have been happy a long, long way out that he was going to win that day on Sunday. I mean, he beat Marine National in the end by 19 lengths, which does simplify how impressively well he won on the day. Marine National, I'd say he doesn't enjoy Leopardstown, guys. I'd say Leopardstown is not his best track he performs at. Clearly, he performs better at Cheltenham. He's won at Punchestone. He's won at Naas or Navan. He doesn't win often at Leopardstown, which would concern me in an Irish Grade 1 at that track. Cheltenham is a different ball game, as we know. Majborough lost an Arca last year when it was in his hands to win, whereas Marine National won a Queen Mother Champion Chase at Cheltenham last year. So it weighs it up. Are you siding with a horse for the champion chase that runs better at Leopardstown in Majborough, or are you siding with a horse in the champion chase that runs better at the track itself, Cheltenham, in Marine National? Now, there has to be a reverse in form for Marine National to win the race. In fact, 19 lengths from Leopardstown. But Marine does perform better on the big day at the festival. That's all I can say for now, is that Marine National performs better at Cheltenham. But Majborough's performance was sublime. So it's a tough choice come the day in the champion chase, if you want to side with a Majborough or a Marine National type of selection. Now, ground will be a factor on the day, there's no doubt about that. The softer it'll be, it'll enhance Majborough's chances and disenhance Marine National's opportunities. If it's good to soft, I'd really side with the Marine National personally, but if it's heavy or soft to heavy, you're going to side with Majborough. So it did really shock me how much Majborough performed so well at Leopardstown on Sunday. That can he replicate that at the festival in March and bounce back on to Cheltenham, because he performed so badly in the Arkle. So there's a lot of questions in this market that has answers, in my opinion. If you have a good slip on Majborough, you're really in a good position. If you have a good slip on Marine National, you're not out of the question either. So it's just if you're a backer on the day, it just depends on the ground, I feel, on where the ground is and how conditions fare at Cheltenham on the day. If you have a good Ante-Post slip, I wouldn't put you off either of them. So it's between them two, in my opinion, for now. I don't think anything else will come from outside of those two that we haven't seen so far this season. So it's between Majborough and Marine National, guys. Who do you side with at the moment? Obviously, I said last week that Majborough is nowhere near champion chase standard. He's nowhere near winning this Grade 1 that he won on Sunday. I again apologise for that if you did follow me. No, he's definitely in the reckoning. So it's 50-50, guys. It's a 50-50 selection. And for now, I don't have one I'm strong on. If you had pinned me against the wall, I'd probably go with Marine National, purely for the fact he's done it in championship races, at championship pace and level. But Majborough was sublime on Sunday. So who knows? Who knows who'll win the Queen Mother Champion Chase this season? Will it be Majborough or Marine National? Then we had the Grade 3 O'Driscoll's Irish Whiskey Leopardstown Handicap Chase over 2 miles, 5 furlongs. And I took 2 horses out of this race. I did took 2 horses from this race I really like going forward. And put it like this, I was really close to putting one up in my Ante-Post series today on today's episode. But I'm not putting either of them up today. Wait till the future. Wait till next week. Things could really change. And maybe one of these horses could be put up for a race at the festival. We start off with a winner though. Back Me or Sack Me. Ridden by Sean Bowen, one under Sean Bowen on the day for Emmett Mullins. I could really feel he'd be bound now at Cheltenham for a national hunt chase. He's up to 133, a rating of 133. He was 125 on the weekend. He has got up £8. I would not write him off in a race of that sort of marathon level at Cheltenham, the national hunt chase. Emmett Mullins, as we know, very good with his horses and getting them down in the handicap to win a big pot. He's very good with those sort of horses. So Back Me or Sack Me won, obviously on the day. 2 miles, 5.5 beat, win some, lose some by 1 length. And like I said, really could feel it could be a national and chase bound type if that's the route they go to. And then the other horse I really liked in this race and took forward, again, this was the horse I was really close to putting up in today's episode, in today's Ante-Post series, was the horse that finished third on the day. That was Waterford Whispers. Lost out by 1.25 lengths, 2 Back Me or Sack Me. Waterford Whispers finished in third. Now, he was off a rating on the day of 130. He's gone up £5 to 135. I was so close to putting him up for a Jack Richards novices chase for Cheltenham, guys, for Waterford Whispers. Obviously, trained by Henry de Bromhead, owned by JP McManus. Mark Walsh, you'd assume, would ride him in the Jack Richards. Now, this time next week, he could be up in my series. I'll give you a little teaser. He may be the 9th selection up on my Ante-Post series. Not guaranteed, but he could be. He was really close to be putting up as a third choice in today's episode. He's not going to be put up, so we may wait till next week. But yeah, Waterford Whispers hasn't won over fences yet, but there is a day in him. I really feel there's a day in Waterford Whispers with a big pot in him, with a big race in him. He stayed on, went second in the running on the day, just didn't have the extra bit to win on the day, but that's not a bad thing. He keeps his mark slightly down that he can get into a Jack Richards novices chase if that's the route they go to, and I'd be very keen at Cheltenham for Waterford Whispers. So yeah, they're the two. In the Grade 3 Leopardstown Handicap Chase, the O'Driscoll's Irish Whiskey Handicap Chase, Back Me or Sack Me was a good winner, and Waterford Whispers I took out in third for a potential novice chase at the Cheltenham Festival. The Irish Champion Hurdle was the next Grade 1 on the day, and fair play to Gordon Elliott and connections with the winner, Brighter Days Ahead. She took on 4 from the Willie Mullins stable in Lossiemouth, Paneros in third, Anzadam who finished 4th, and El Fabiolo. Like I said, fair play to Jigginstown, Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy who rode Brighter Days Ahead. They were phenomenal, they were excellent in winning the Irish Champion Hurdle. I was disappointed with Lossiemouth as they put it up in a best bet last week, of course. I was really sweet on Lossiemouth in winning this race. I thought she would be the best horse in the race and really be strong now in heading towards the Champion Hurdle for Cheltenham. It looks as if that she will be heading to a mares, you'd assume, after losing this race on Sunday. Whether or not Willie Mullins will roll the dice and chuck her in a Champion Hurdle where she still belongs, in my opinion, she still has a chance, I'd say, at Cheltenham in a Champion Hurdle where she performs all her races best at Cheltenham. So just keep that in mind. Her best performances come at Cheltenham. So whether Willie Mullins will keep her in the 2 mile race at Cheltenham remains to be seen. She'll probably be entered in both Champion Hurdle and Mares Hurdle races until the week where we find out which one she'll be declared in. I'd still be happy to run her in the Champion Hurdle and back her in that race personally. I think she could reverse the form with Brighter Days Ahead at Cheltenham. That's just my opinion. I don't think Brighter Days Ahead's best form comes at the track at Cheltenham. She's obviously lost the Mares Novice Hurdle and didn't perform well in the Champion Hurdle last season, but Gordon Elliott is very sure she'll perform better this time around. So she could have a better opportunity in this year's renewal. So Lossiemouth, yeah, disappointed me on Sunday, guys. I was really sweet that Paul Townend didn't look himself on the mare, and I'd say connections will be scratching their heads now and reverting back to a 2 mile 4 furlong Mares Hurdle on the Thursday of this year's meeting. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But with Brighter Days Ahead, obviously didn't perform well at the track last season. That Champion Hurdle market is again a head scratcher, similar to a Champion Chase with the top 2 in that rate in that market in Madge Memory National. Head scratcher between them two. It's a head scratcher in a Champion Hurdle market. The favourite at the moment is the New Lion, then Brighter Days Ahead, then Constitution Hill. I think you got obviously Lossiemouth in there in a non-run and no bet market as well. She still has a squeak. You also have Paneros, Ansdam. They're all in there. It's a head scratcher. It is a massive, and of course the reigning Champion Hurdle heroine in Golden Ace. I couldn't forget about Golden Ace. She could be the strongest viable option in this year's race, guys. She really could be this year's one you want to side with. but a champion hurdle. It should be a champion hurdle superstar. We should be wanting a champion hurdle superstar. That's what the 2 mile hurdle division wants. And I'm afraid this year, it's just, with Sergino's injury, you just feel it's just, we're missing one out in this, who runs in this year's race. So it's a wide open race. It's a head scratcher of a market, and the prices could easily change and chop and change before now on post time at 4 o'clock on the Tuesday of the festival. It could really change. We don't know who's going to go off favourite, guys. I couldn't tell you at this moment in time who would be the favourite on the day in the champion hurdle market. So that sums it all up. Bright days ahead. A winner of an Irish champion hurdle may not even be favourite for a champion hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. So I think that sums it all up. Lossiemouth, I still have faith in the mare. I still really have faith in her. If she runs in the right race where she should be running in the Cheltenham Festival, but she probably won't be running in. That's just, again, that sums it all up. So I'm disappointed with the result and the verdict from the race on Sunday. I still have to applaud and really congratulate Gordon Elliott and his connections. They had the win. They had the best horse win of the day. They had the best winner of the day, and they have a right chance in the champion hurdle. So fair play and congratulate Gordon Elliott, guys. They beat the rest of the Willie Mullins contingent on the day, and she deserved. The penultimate race on Sunday was the listed handicap hurdle, won by second highest rated in the race, Bowen's On Fire, for Jack Kennedy again, who was on fire at this time of the day for Gordon Elliott. Went off 10-1 on the day, off a mark of 140. Really did impress me in winning that race. He always likes to be held up at the back. There's Bowen's On Fire. Really likes to be held in rear with a bit of progress towards the middle of the race, and then coming with a late surge and a late lead towards the end before the last hurdle. Had a battle with I Started a Joke for Sean Bowen and Charles Burns in second on the day. They pulled a long way clear of the horse in third. I really like the first two in the race, Bowen's On Fire and I Started a Joke. They could really be ones to play with and have fun with at Cheltenham Festival. They could really be big contenders whichever race they go to. So yeah, I took them two out of the race massively, and it was a good race to watch. The two really had a battle from the last hurdle to the finishing line, but Bowen's On Fire did stay better and got quickened up towards the end, really, and is a viable option perhaps for a handicap at the festival. He's gone up £8 in the ratings to 148, so could be one for a potential county hurdle. I Started a Joke, maybe one for Martin Pipe, or again a county, we don't know about him. But yeah, two viable options, I think, and two horses I really like going forward for handicap races at the Cheltenham Festival again. The last race on the opening day this year of the DRF, which was on Sunday, of course, was the Grade 2 Mares Bumper. And it was more of the ending of the actual race itself than what I took out from it, and what I took out any horses from the race. More of the dramatic ending and the closing stages of that race that I thought was a talking point than an extra horse I thought could be viable for a Cheltenham champion bumper. Won by Moon Verin on the day. Obviously, one potentially shouldn't have won because of Royal Hillsborough and the unfortunate incident with the jockey who thought the finishing line was 50 yards, or the post was before the finishing line and got done on the line by Moon Verin. So an unfortunate circumstance for the horse in second, Royal Hillsborough, who went off 9-1 on our post time. Moon Verin was a 20-1 shot. So if you're a backer of both, you'd have different emotions, I guess. And Royal Hillsborough, what a dramatic incident at the end, which unfortunately didn't see that horse, the mare, win that horse win. But obviously on the other side, if you were a backer of Moon Verin, luck was on your side on the day. Now, moving on to Monday's card of the Dublin Racing Festival, the second day there of that meeting this year. And we start off with a 1:15, the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Solicitors Novice Hurdle, the Grade 1 to kick off the second day. Won by Dr. Steinberg for Paul Town and Willie Mullins. Won by 8 lengths. It was very impressive on the day. I did tweet on the day how impressive and a Final Demand-esque this horse was from 2025. Obviously, Final Demand won this race in 2025. Dr. Steinberg, the winner of this year's race. Really, really powerful, impressive, stayed on well performance from the horse. Now, it's a question of which race does this horse go to at the Cheltenham Festival? Is it a Turner's Novice Hurdle over 2.5 miles, or an Albert Bartlett over 2 miles 7, just under 3 miles on the new course at the Cheltenham new track? Obviously, the Leopardstown race, the Nathaniel Lacey's 2 miles 6. So it's just in between. The Nathaniel Lacey just in between probably the Turner's trip and the Albert Bartlett. Now, if you're a backer, an Ante-Post backer of Dr. Steinberg of either race, you're a bit in a muddle because you don't know if Willie Mullins is going to send this horse down in trip. which he usually does with his novice hurdlers. His good novice hurdlers, he sends back down in trip. Or is he going to remain Dr. Steinberg and send him further up in trip, which he looked like he'd appreciate a bit more on Monday. So I'm not sure, guys, which races. You're playing Willie Mullins Bingo, which is a dangerous game, Ante-Post. So I'm not sure Price is non-runner or bet, which is a safer option to do at the moment with this horse in either race at Cheltenham. Nonetheless, he's a very impressive horse. Won well on the day. Paul Townend will remain on the horse in either race at the festival. I think he'll remain on Dr. Steinberg for either the Turners or the Bartlett. So you're in safe hands with Paul Townend. It's just a question of which race Willie Mullins and Connections will send him to. Is it the Turners or the Albert Bartlett? There's no question whether the next horse and the next winner at the Dublin Racing Festival is going at Cheltenham. It was obviously won by Narciso Haas, the Grade 1 juvenile hurdle. Ultimately impressive performance from JP McManus's horse, ridden again by that brilliant jockey Mark Walsh of the weekend. Narciso Haas was potentially my performance of the meeting. He beat the horse in second, Selma de Very, only by 4.5 lengths, but I think was eased down towards the end. He had won the race quite a way out, I thought. Maybe before the last hurdle. If he jumped the last hurdle, probably then on you'd be counting him and he easily winner in my opinion. He's a hands down really short price, going to be even shorter favourite for the Triumph Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. I'm really happy with the fact that he is the right favourite for the race. I backed him on the day in a lot of backers, in a lot of doubles, trebles. I did mention he'd be one that I'd be putting in a lot of my accumulators. Did the business, did perform exceptionally well, and it's going to be hard to beat for a Triumph Hurdle, guys. It's going to be very hard to turn this horse over if you are not a favourite backer for Cheltenham. Selma de Very, the horse in second for Paul Townend, Willie Mullins and Rich Ritchie. I think first race for this horse on Irish soil, did perform really well. Obviously beat Monchou in third. Monchou was a bit disappointing. She just got outperformed by Narciso Haas. I don't think she'll be reversing form with Narciso Haas at Cheltenham. So I think he is a worthy contender for that race at the festival. And one favourite I would really be happy to back right now is this horse in the Triumph Hurdle. So yeah, I think he's 6-4, 7-4 at best for the Triumph Hurdle, which in my opinion is fair considering what he's done between his defeat to Monchou at Fairhouse earlier in the season to now. He's really developed further, reversed the form with considerable ease, and I don't think the form with Monchou is going to be reversed again. So if you think any horse is going to beat Narciso Haas at Cheltenham, it's probably one that's at a higher price than Monchou and the rest of them. So I'd be happy to side with Narciso Haas. I think he's going to be a better chaser in time as well, a better chaser in the future. But for now, he's a worthy favourite for a Triumph Hurdle on one horse, one favourite I'm really going to be siding. We had a listed handicap hurdle over 3 miles on Monday. Again, the Racing Stay at Leopardstown handicap hurdle, won by Saint Lefort for Philip Fenton, ridden by Niall Moore, claiming £5. Beat Savante, who I thought was going to win. I did think was going to win. Just got headed in the final strides. I thought Savante 18-1 was the winner. Obviously didn't win. Saint Lefort just had his head in front or nose in front. He Can't Dance finished in third, 15 lengths behind the top two. He's one that people are really siding with for a handicap at Cheltenham. It's not in my sort of radar, not on my radar for Gordon Elliott. Ridden by Danny Gilligan on the day. I just don't think He Can't Dance is consistent enough. I don't think it's progressive enough either. It could be a better chaser in the future if that's the route they decide to go down with the horse. I don't think hurdles is his. You will see his best over hurdles. So that's just my opinion. But the top two were wide clear of the rest of the field. And like I said, I thought the winner was Savante. It wasn't. It was the horse that was one place above him in the ratings on the day. It was Saint Lefort. Nonetheless, a great finish to the race. And then nothing I took forward, guys. I didn't take anything forward other than those two from the race on Monday. We had the Goffs Irish Arkle, which was won by Romeo Coolio for Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott. This was over 2 miles, 1 furlong. Just remember that trip for now, 2 miles, 1 furlong. Like I said, won by Romeo Coolio for KDTA Racing. Cargase was a neck behind. Could have been a very dramatic ending, and again, had Cargase had her head in front. She didn't. Romeo Coolio won by a neck in the end, so was a bit of a wild finish in my opinion, a crazy finish with Romeo Coolio thinking he'd won a bit earlier. Nonetheless, he won at 4-9. A favourite backer's price won. Cargase was 2-1 on the day, didn't win, so neck between them, which is about right. But going forward, with the future for Romeo Cooley, if we start with him, and obviously his owners who love Cheltenham, as we have heard many times, Romeo Cooley's owners are really Cheltenham fanatics, they're Cheltenham fans. They'll probably want Romeo Cooley to run at Cheltenham. Now, which race does Romeo Cooley run at Cheltenham? There's many tough choices to be made from connections, from Gordon Elliott, and potentially Jack Kennedy will have an input as well. This race on Sunday, over 2 miles, 1 furlong. Literally just got home. He just got scraped home on the day. I would not be inclined to run him in a Brown advisory at the festival, which is probably another choice, another option they could run Romeo Cooley in. That would be out of the equation for me altogether. So not a Brown advisory selection, and I'm not talking pocket money at all. I'm thinking of the horse on which race he could potentially win, if any, at the festival. And I don't think the Brown advisory over 3 miles is his likely and best preferred destination. So we can cross off the Browns over 3 miles now, I think. So it's either the Arkle over just shy of 2 miles. I think it's 1 mile 7 tops is the Irish is the Cheltenham Arkle, is the Arkle on day one. It's either that, not running at Cheltenham and saving him for Aintree, Ferryhouse or Punchestown, or I have heard on X, on Twitter, rumours the Ryanair is still an option as well. The Ryanair Chase, which is an open Grade 1, which he'd be running against the open older horses in the Grade 1, over 2 miles, 4 furlongs on the Thursday of the festival. That's still an option as well. Many people say that Romeo Cooley's best trip is 2 miles, 4 furlongs, is the 2.5-mile trip. So, guys, I am in the camp, I am in the mindset that he doesn't win an Arkle either. I don't think Romeo Cooley wins an Arkle in my opinion. So, owners, if you are listening, I don't think you are, obviously, so I think the best trip for Romeo Cooley is 2.5, which is clearly the opinion of others as well. You either have to skip Cheltenham to win more Grade 1s, or run him in a Ryanair to win any sort of Grade 1 at Cheltenham. That's just my opinion. It's coming on to a Ryanair discussion. We know the Factor File won the Irish Gold Cup. Now, he's probably not going to be running in the Ryanair at Cheltenham. That's probably the ultimate thinking. So Romeo Cooley would be a candidate to winning that race, potentially if Factor File doesn't go to Ryanair. That's an option. Or like I said, skipping Cheltenham. So it's either skipping Cheltenham to Aintree, Punchestown or Ferryhouse, or running him in a Ryanair. That's just my thinking. Where does Romeo Cooley his best chances of winning his next Grade 1? He's a fantastic horse, a very thorough 2.5-mile stayer. He hasn't got the gears for 2 miles in my opinion, so that's just where I side with him. So yeah, Romeo Cooley, I don't think you win an Arkle, unfortunately. I don't even think you win a Brown advisory, so I don't think you win a Novice Chase Grade 1 at Cheltenham, but you could still win a Ryanair if the likes of Factor File or Gaelic Warrior don't appear in that race. That's an option for you guys and for the owners of the horse. Cargazy didn't put herself to shame either. She was really close to beating Romeo Cooley on the day. She could still run in an Arkle. I don't think she's got the class to win an Arkle, but she could easily come into a place behind the likes of Lamba or Copic de Board if they're still to run in that race as well. But Cargazy, no shame with her. I think she's got the gears for 2 miles. She obviously won a county hurdle at last year's festival. She still could be a viable option for an Arkle over fences, but I don't think Romeo Cooley is quick enough for an Arkle. Therefore, stepping him up in trip to a Ryanair or skipping Cheltenham is, for me, the best option for connection. We had the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup, won by a phenomenal performance by the aforementioned Factor File in the Goffs Irish Arkle part. Factor File was brilliant, absolutely brilliant performance from him. Mark Walsh in the saddle again for William Ellens and JP McManus. Really, really, probably one of Factor File's best performances, as well as winning the Ryanair last season. He beat Gaelic Warrior by 5 lengths in the end. I think it was could have won a bit more, could have won by a lot more, in fact. He just got eased down towards the end and like I said, won with a 5 lengths in the end. Could have won by a lot more. Galopin de Champs had no disgrace, guys. No disgrace in finishing third, as we all know. He's a true legend of Irish jumps racing. He's a true legend of Cheltenham as well. He's one of the best horses we've seen in Ireland for many, many years as well. He was third, 13.5 lengths behind Factor File. Can he reverse the form if Factor File is to run in the Gold Cup, as well as Gaelic Warrior as well in the Gold Cup? You'd imagine the top 3 there, all William Mullins horses, are bound now for the Cheltenham Gold Cup, I think. Mark Walsh will ride Factor File, Patrick Mullins will ride Gaelic Warrior, and Paul Townley will remain on Gallop in the Shop. They're all running the Gold Cup. That's what I think. Question is, who wins the Gold Cup? It's another muggy market. I can't for the life of me pin you down for a selection right now. All I can say is I think Gallopin will perform better on the day. He is a 10-year-old, but I think he'll have one last hurrah. He performed so well at Cheltenham. I can't see him out of the first 3 or 4. So maybe Gallopin is still a selection you could back right now. Factor 5 was superb. And will Connections keep him for a Ryanair or up-in trip to a Cheltenham Gold Cup? I think that's easy enough to answer. I think he'll go to a Gold Cup. Gaelic Warrior is bound as well for a Gold Cup, I think. I think he's shown he's a top 3 mile stayer. So it's either those 3 or an English horse or a UK horse that you're going to side with. It's either Factor 5, Gaelic, Gallopin, or the likes of the Jukebox Man, Django By, Grey Dawning's in there as well. Would you side with, I know the way you're thinking, the reigning Gold Cup hero? I certainly won't be, unfortunately. I think he's had his time. He's had his day in the sun at last year's Gold Cup race. I can't see him winning it this year whatsoever. So there's only a handful, half a dozen horses, but it's a competitive handful of horses that could win this year's Gold Cup. It's going to be a fantastic race. The blue ribboned race of the Gold Cup, which should be open. But again, I can't say for now who I'm going to be siding with. So again, sums it up for this market, guys. At the moment, I think Factor 5 is favourite, but needs to be supplemented as well. Not even entered for the Gold Cup at the moment, so would need to be supplemented from the Ryanair chase into a Gold Cup, which I think owners and Connections will do. And then we have a proper battle for favouritism, selections, winning the race. It's going to be a proper battle. So all up in the air for now for the Gold Cup race, but on the day, on Monday, Factor 5 was a worthy Irish Gold Cup win. We had the 0 to 150 Barberstone Castle Handicap Chase, a listed contest over 2 miles and a furlong. So will any of these horses you think go to a Grand Annual at Cheltenham? I don't think so. I didn't pinpoint or find a horse I thought has opportunities better at Cheltenham. Obviously, won by Jacob's Ladder for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy again. Golden Joy finished second for Gordon Elliott, then Adragul for Gavin Cromwell. I don't think any of these horses will win a Grand Annual, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't think any of them will be players in that race. If anyone is well handicapped, I don't really know. I think Adragul had this chance on Monday. Wouldn't say he's going to win a Grand Annual personally, so I'd leave that handicap away for now, guys, because I don't think anyone in this race on Monday will stamp their feet forward for a Grand Annual. That's just my opinion. And then the last race of the entire meeting at the DRF this year was the Grade 2 bumper. The top 3 of the race were Gordon Elliott, stablemates. I don't think either of them will win a champion bumper either. So the last two races, I should say, at Leopardstown on the DRF meeting this year were winners and runners. I don't think have their foot forward for a Cheltenham race at the festival. So that's unfortunate. We want to see clues. We want to see sort of trials for Cheltenham, but I don't think any of these races with trials and horses in those races have their chance enhanced for Cheltenham. So guys, it's the time of the show where I give you my 2 Ante-Post tips as promised right at the start of the episode. And before I get stuck into my 2 selections, every selection I do going forward now in my Ante-Post series will be on a non-runner, no bet. So non-runner money back market, which all firms I think are doing at this stage. You can still back Ante-Post for some of these firms, but I keep it safer with a non-runner, no bet market and a non-runner, no bet, a money back price. And the first selection is a 16 to 1 price in a non-runner money back, non-runner no bet market with a firm I like. And it's in the County Hurdle. And it's a horse I mentioned early on in the DRF review we've just done in this episode. It's going to be Gordon Elliott's Bowen's On Fire. Now, the reason I'm putting this horse up is that the fact he's too highly rated for a Martin Pipe. He's up to a mark of 148, as I mentioned earlier in the video. From 140, which he won on the weekend, he's now up to 148. So it's too high up for a Martin Pipe, which I didn't have him on the radar for that race anyway. He won the listed handicap hurdle at Leopardstown on Sunday. As a result, it's gone up £8 to 140, as I said. I think he's a very viable option for a county hurdle. Since he ran at Cheltenham in October, that was over 2 miles, four furlongs behind the likes of Friendship and Navajo Indy. He's stayed since that day over the 2 mile trip. Ran at Ferryhouse in November in a handicap hurdle, lost out by 4 1/4 lengths behind a horse called Zillow for Willie Mullins. He didn't jump the last great that day over a right-handed track at Ferryhouse. So we can draw a line through that race, I think. These next 2 races were back at episode, one at Christmas and like I said, one at the DRF on the weekend. He's won them both, so it's gone up from 129 from winning from his race at Fairyhouse to up to 148. It's nearly £20 worth in ratings he's gone up by. I think he's a very viable option. He's a very vast improver in the race. In a county hurdle market where I don't know who is going to be the top rated in the race. Now, you want a horse in the county, you want to base your horse, if you're backing a horse in the county, to be from the highest rated. It's probably going to be a max 24 runners, I think, in that race come the day at Cheltenham, if that. So the highest rated in the county is usually up to 150, 155, if that at all. We'll go with 150 for now. So Bowen's on Fire needs to run to a level of 150, you'd think, to win a county hurdle. He's already on the mark of 148. So I think it's a good chance of winning the race. Like I said, he's had a good Cheltenham form in the past, behind the likes of Friendship and Co. That was over 2.5. Since stepping down in trip, he's been very good over the trip of 2 miles. He's not ground dependent either. He's won on good ground. He's won on good to soft. He's won on yielding. He's won on soft and he's won on heavy. So it's very, very consistent performer. He's not ground dependent, but I think he's trip orientated, and the trip orientated he needs to be at is 2 miles. So he'll be my first Ante-Post tip in this episode at a price of 16-1 in the county hurdle. That is Bowen's on Fire. And Ante-Post number 2 in this episode and number 8 overall in my series comes in the Martin Pipe handicap hurdle, which is obviously a 0-145 conditional jockeys handicap hurdle. And there's a horse in here at 16-1. Again, I've backed non-runner, no bet, 16-1. Trained by Dan Skelton, who's probably the biggest target trainer in the land at the moment. It is, of course, a Pai de Nom, who I really liked at the Cheltenham November meeting right at the start of the season. I've followed him up till now. He is going to be my selection in the Martin Pipe handicap hurdle. He is currently rated 1, 2, 4. So it does need to be a bit higher rated to improve to even get into a Martin Pipe. However, he is also entered, he's refused, reword, he's declared. He is declared to run at Newbury on Saturday this weekend in a 3 mile 0-135 handicap hurdle. And he's currently favoured for the race. He's currently 15-8, 2-1 favourite for the race. I'm sure he'll go and win that race on Saturday, which would buff up his mark, his handicap rating in the main. He'd probably likely be up to a mid-130s, you'd guess, which will 100% get into a Martin Pipe handicap hurdle at the festival. He's already had Cheltenham form, as we know. He won the race at the November meeting under Tristan Durrell, who claimed £3 on the day. Likely to be his partner again, Tristan Durrell, if he's to run in the Martin Pipe. So that's a combination I like already. They've already partnered together and won together. He obviously, his latest run at Python was in the Lanzarote at Kempton in early January. Finished third behind Iberico Lord. No disgrace in that, as we know. Iberico Lord has won a lot of big handicap hurdles in his time, and Python was only finished third on the day. So it's a very decent run in the Harry Skelton on the day. Dan Skelton, as we know, one of the shrewdest, best target trainers in the UK and Ireland as we speak. I'm sure he's had some sayings in where a Python could be heading in March if he's to run at the festival, and there's only one viable race he can run at, which will be the Martin Pipe. I think 16-1 is a very good price for him in a race that he is likely to run in, and if he's to win this race at Newbury on the weekend, he'll be half the price for the Martin Pipe, maybe even shorter at the festival. So they're the 2 that I really like in my Ante-Post series today that I'm adding on with my other 6. It's going to be Bowen's on Fire at 16-1 in the county hurdle and a Pai de Nom at 16-1 in the Martin Pipe handicap hurdle. That's the end of this video now, guys. That is everything I'm going to put into this episode today. You've had the Dublin Racing Festival review, obviously with horses I like and horses I'm keeping on side for the future, especially at the Cheltenham Festival. And you've had 2 extra Ante-Post tips in my series, who I have been putting up in my Ante-Post tips. So they're the 8 so far. I'll go through them very quickly because I know I'm running out of time and this episode is going a bit too longer than I thought. The Big Westerner for the Brown Advisory, T Hoople for the Stayers, It's on the Line for the Hunter's Chase, Yeah Man for the Potemps, Highland Crystal for the Mares, Novices Hurdle. I've also put up Vincenzo for the plate, and the 2 I've put up today in Bowen's on Fire and a Pai de Nom. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode today, guys. Like the video, comment any selection you want for Newbury and Warwick this week. I will see them all and check if the results are a winner for you guys. Share if you wish and want to promote myself and others and myself to other people. And obviously subscribe. It's free to do. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see every episode of the Cheltenham Countdown going forward up to the Cheltenham Festival is free to do, and I will absolutely give me the most appreciation. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. See you next week.